Hello there. This podcast is brought to you by Fitisys, a digital product design and development company. For today, we have Mr. Prasanna Gadkari, who is working as UX designer at Amazon. He is also the founder of Teacup Blogs and mentors students appearing for SEED exams. So let's get started. Welcome to the show, sir, and we are very glad to have you here on the show.
Hey, I am also glad to be here. Thanks for hosting me.
So, my first question to you is, were you inclined towards arts and craft right from your childhood? And what was the impact of art in your life?
Honestly, I was never an artistic person. When I was in the school or something, I don't remember winning too many of the drawing competition. Probably even during my 12th grade and during even my graduation, the only so-called art which I was having was when I used to sketch some things which I used to do in arts and crafts, which most of the kids used to do. And the worst part was my art was not really that good as you will imagine. In fact, to just tell you, I actually got C grade in elementary grade, so which really means that I am not that of an artistic person. However, talking about arts, right? Actually, when I joined my first job, which was in Force Motors, that time I actually learned how to actually sketch. So I used to work for this R&D division, research and development, and I used to be a mechanical engineer. That was back in 2005, and that time I started practicing sketching just by observing some parts that were lying around, carburetor and several other machine part, the brake shifter and stuff. And the best part was that the drawings were so good that few of the paintings are still there with my general manager, so he actually framed those and kept them in his cabin. But otherwise, if you really ask me, my childhood, it's not too much of an art, but yeah, that's the high point of the artistic career of my life.
So, the next thing I would like to ask you is, why did you choose to go for masters in design after working as mechanical engineer for 2 good years in Force Motor? And how was the journey until you got accepted in one of the biggest college in India, that is IISc Bangalore?
That's an interesting question. So essentially speaking, I never intended to join any job after my graduation. However, I did not score too well in my 12th standard and I had to take an education loan. And that actually brings me to the point that I had to work it. I didn't have a choice, and 2 years was what I took to pay off that loan which I had taken. And that actually was something that made me work. Talking about the journey essentially and why product design, so essentially what I did was, when I was working at a Force Motor, I used to get fascinated by the vehicle and the different parts over there. I always used to think that, hey, how would people use this thing, instead of just thinking that like a mechanical engineer, that how this engine works, or how can we make carburetor more simplified, or how can we strengthen this part. I used to actually think in terms of that, can we actually make this gear shifter more ergonomic, or can we actually solve some human related problem. And that is what actually brought me to the point that one day my manager told me that if you are interested in all these kinds of problem and solving something human related, maybe you should actually consider a master's degree in one of these fields. So I started exploring and I came across that, hey, there is something called product design which I really would like to do. So essentially speaking, that is where my career in product design, that is where I chose to do the masters in product design. Then I started sketching. Like I told you, I started sketching in the beginning, and at that time there was no guidance like we have right now. The only place which I knew what would be asked in the SEED exam was in the prospectus. So essentially that time there was no soft prospectus. So I had brought the hard prospectus, and that is where actually they had given that what questions would be asked to me in the exam and so on. But otherwise, that is how it went along. I'll be happy to take up any follow-up questions that you might have over this, if I have not answered this completely. But otherwise, yeah, it's a good question to answer.
You absolutely answered my question, sir. So the next thing I would like to know is you did your masters in product and industrial design, and now you're working as a interaction designer in the companies, right? So tell a triple about this transition and how did it happen?
That's another interesting question because I nowadays am speaking with lot of folks who actually want to transition into UI UX and move from various other branches into the UI UX. And currently I work for Amazon. So essentially speaking, the transition was fairly difficult one. So I will backtrack a bit before answering your question. So essentially in 2009 I completed my masters in product design and engineering, and after that I worked for almost 7 years in various product design companies. So till year 2016 I used to work for all these mechanical companies. So the last mechanical company that I worked for was called Larsen and Toubro Mumbai, and at Larsen Toubro I was a manager. So, but yet my salary was slightly lower as compared to what my peers were earning in UI UX. So that is why where I decided to make the transition into this domain. And for doing that, I followed three simple steps. So first of all, I set myself a timeline of 45 days to make a portfolio. I did not study the UI UX formally like many of the people would do. However, what I actually did was I started going ahead and started building my portfolio. And that portfolio was not on basis of any formal studies, but actually I decided to just study some of the old portfolios that various big shots had made, and that is where I picked up. So that brings me to the second step, which actually I emulated the process. So it's like following the recipe, you know. So essentially you follow the big people's footsteps and apply them to your problem. So that is what I did. And the third step which I did to make the transition, I solved an industry relevant problem. What this essentially means is that I opened Economic Times and I used to search for problems that industry is facing. That time I always believed that banking sector had lot of jobs, and they still do have. So I picked up a problem of I can speak about that a bit, but essentially I picked up a problem of a mobile app for banking and tried to solve it using the methods which I studied, and that is where the transition was successful. And yeah, it's I have switched companies till I reached Amazon. Yeah.
So, sir, you have worked as designer in multinational companies and several other companies, and you have worked with companies that has diametrical services to provide. So, how does your work as designer fluctuates with every switch?
It fluctuates drastically. I'll say I don't have any domain knowledge when I end in the new companies. Uh, so unfortunately or fortunately, you say I worked in like you rightly said, I worked for aerospace, I worked for defense, I worked for automotive like the Force Motor, I worked for oil and natural gas, which is Schlumberger. I worked for insurance, which was Canada Life when I used to work in Canada. I used to work for service industry. I work for telecommunication at Cisco as well. So essentially, however, if you really see what is design, if you really ask this question to yourself, even what is design, you are solving some problem which people face, and the methodology remains the same irrespective of which field you go to. So suppose you go to say insurance, the problems which people face there are still the same problem which people in communication will face. They still have some pain points that the same design methods would eliminate, and the solutions will differ, the implementations will differ, but essentially the work of the industrial designer or work of the UI UX designer will remain the same to solve the people's problem. And that's where if you pick up the domain knowledge when you go to a new field, it really doesn't matter what field you're serving as long as the people are happy with your design. So that is what I actually follow every place I go.
How do you think design impacts business and daily lives?
That's a very important question that people sometimes forget to ask. So, from my perspective, I say it like this, right? So, see, a customer or the person who is using the design uses in their daily lives. Take example of Facebook for that instance. So people use Facebook for sharing photos, for messaging their friends, for getting news about the world and so on. So they are actually using it in daily life. However, if you see the Facebook, it actually makes money whenever someone uploads a photo, not directly but indirectly through the usage and through the data that they acquire from the user. So essentially speaking, that is where the crux of the entire UI UX or any kind of design lies, that the designer has to be the material who actually takes the problem that the user face and convert it into solutions that business can profit from. So imagine that you are working for a company that has got a customer base, and because you are creating a successful design, more and more people are using your product, or more people are actually using the design that you have created, and thereby because of the increase in the base, just if you see the advertising revenue that your company will be making is huge. The same case is with other companies that I worked with. For example, Amazon actually makes a lot of money because a lot of people order the products from their website, or maybe their other use their AWS services. But essentially, if you see, the bottom line of the entire story is that because people use the design in their day-to-day life, the business make a profit. So that's how those two tie in, and that is the designer's job to actually tie those in successfully.
How important do you think having a professional degree as a designer is important? As you know, in today's world, there are many designers who are exceeding in this field without even having a degree.
So honestly speaking, the designers don't need to have a professional degree, typically the master's degree or something like that. However, it does help in certain ways, but I'll come to that. So where I'm working, so the Amazon and other companies, actually there are a lot of people who are self-taught designers and they are excelling in their career. The reason for that is fairly simple. The one that they know exactly what to do, or what problems they have to solve and how to solve them. And second, they have a great communication skills. So they know exactly what to deliver to their customer, what is asked of them, and they also know how to create the artifacts that they asked of. For example, they want to create a persona, and when exactly they should create a persona and so on. However, where the professional degree matters is when you actually get a job. So really speaking, fresh out of campus, like imagine the IIT course, IIT Interaction Design course. So many big companies come for recruitment in that campus, and if you get that early start, you don't have to struggle as much as the person without a degree has. So in a nutshell, if you have a professional degree in design, it reduces the amount of struggle that you might face down the line. So you might have a easygoing and one step ahead in design as compared to the people who don't have a degree. So I highly recommend having a master's degree in design, but if not, there are other options, such as for example, HFI offers something called a certified usability analyst, which is an exam, and you can opt for that certificate, though it's slightly expensive, but it is a industry recognized certificate. And finally, no matter whether you have a degree or don't have a degree, whether you've done HFI or any other degree for that matter, any other certification, you still have to prepare a portfolio. You can't escape that. So really speaking, it comes down to your knowledge and not really degrees or certificates that you have.
So, retrospecting your journey till 2021, we can see that there are a lot of switches and experiments that you did in your career. So, was this because you weren't very sure about where your true passion lies and you wanted to experiment it out?
Uh, so there, so to be honest with you, I never decided. I mean, I'm not such a well-planned person, to be very honest with you. However, there are certain things which I always wanted to do. For example, I always wanted to try for a job outside India. I always wanted to get into these big five tech companies, the so-called FANG companies. So I have been pursuing them for a while, uh, and there have been reasons why I made a switch. For example, when I left L&T, it was because I did not get good salary. For example, I left Schlumberger because I had an opportunity to work for Cisco. I stayed for almost 2 years there, and finally, when I made a move from there, I decided to go to a place called Canada Life. So basically, I moved out of the country, and that was one of my bucket list items to just like work out of India, and that is where I worked like on my own. That is, I've been on site many times, but I did not really go outside the India, hunt for a job and find one and work for that. And finally, I came back to India to work for Amazon. So basically, that is all the transition. So there are valid reasons for that. However, you are right. I have not been sticking to one company, and well, I don't see that as necessarily a bad point, but it might have helped if I would have got into a company like Amazon early on in my career. Then probably I could have stuck on for quite a time. But yeah.
So, how is your life at Amazon? And tell me a bit about how you prepared for it and how was the interview process?
Sure. So essentially, I work for something called as Amazon Lab 126, which is responsible for devices like Kindle, Fire Stick, Alexa, Echo Dot, and stuff like that. So that is a devices lab. So you remember that I have a degree in product design and I have transitioned to UI UX. So essentially, I have got the both skill sets. So if you see, for example, Kindle has a UX to it. So essentially, there is a display and someone can operate that display, as well as it has got a physical body which requires industrial design. So if you want to create a device like Kindle, you need to have a knowledge of both of these domains, and that is where I come in handy, and that is where I got selected for Amazon, because there are not too many people around who have actually the knowledge of both of them, and there is a shortage of maybe the skill set, so I got selected. For the selection, essentially, I was referred to one of my friends, and I had worked intimately with him during Larsen and Toubro for about 3 years. He was my program manager there, and essentially after he referred me, I received a screening round. So basically, I got a call from HR saying that, are you interested and stuff like that. This is the JD. Your friend referred and he told some nice words about you and stuff like that. And finally, I had to, when actually the interview process began, there were 12 rounds of interviews. I can largely divide those 12 rounds into three sections. The first section was about cultural fit. So essentially, the first 3 or 4 rounds were testing that whether I fit in that Amazon culture, whether do I have the leadership skills and so on. The second section was about the UI UX skills. So essentially, they tested different skill sets and stuff like that. And the third round was about the ability to understand the coding. So I do not code. I don't know even HTML for that matter. However, they just wanted to test my knowledge, how deep I am able to communicate with the folks like DevOps, with say the developers who will be working, and probably even the quality engineers and so on. So how well I gel in with the team and how well I understand the technical stuff. So that's what they tested for a few of the rounds. Yeah, but that was how it went.
So, your Tika vlogs have been life changing for all the designers out there who are aspiring to do something good with design. So, do you have any inclination towards entrepreneurship, and is there any plan to expand Tika vlogs?
Actually, to be honest with you, Tika blog is something that I do out of passion. So, when I started my career in design, the so-called, when I started thinking about master's degree and stuff like that, lots of people actually helped me. So, I wanted to give it back to society. So, if you are talking about entrepreneurship, no, I won't make money through mentoring folks. So, I will do it for free. It always will be for free, unless I really change my mind. But otherwise, I don't really want to make money out of this. So essentially, if I start making money out of it, I lose the passion in that. So I do it more like something to give back to a society. However, I have done some other freelance works. For example, in around 2011-12, I started my own entrepreneurship. I used to work in Amsterdam that time, so I have done that stint. But otherwise, no, I don't wish to earn money out of mentoring folks.
So, three advices that the Prasanna Gatkari would like to give to all the budding designers out there.
That's a pretty difficult one, honestly speaking. But however, I'll take a good shot at it, right? So the first thing which I really want to tell anyone who is budding designer is that the first thing, be aware about the problems that world is facing. So, for example, if you want to go into, say, the banking sector, be sure that you know that sector well, and you should know the techniques that are used in that particular domain, and make a portfolio for that. So, even if you have a huge portfolio, just include one case study about the field which you want to go into. Be passionate about what you do, so that what will happen is that what are the people are interviewing you will know that, hey, this particular person is really happy about designing, and they are able to do something about it. The second piece of advice is always think about the users and your stakeholders. So people, particular designers, think that design is something that they can get away with just speaking with users, but hey, you have to make money out of that design. So don't forget the business. So the previous question that we were discussing about is very relevant here, that always think about the business end of the design as well, and many designers forget that, and that's why they don't get selected into interviews. And the third thing, design is not necessarily art, and I really mean not necessarily. So it's good to know that if you have an art background or stuff like that, but make sure that your design is thoroughly thought through. Remember one of the commandments of Dieter Rams, and what he said about design. He said that a good design is no design at all. So you don't have to really design anything, you just have to follow the constraints and you will get the design. So be thorough on what you are doing. Keep the users in mind, and as you evolve, have a reason for each and every smallest detail that you include in it. And the details wouldn't be something like, hey, it looks aesthetic. No, that's not a reason enough. It helps to be helps to have aesthetic design, but really speaking, you should first solve the functionality issue and then the aesthetic ones. So those are the three things which I really want to share with the world out there, and whosoever is budding to be a designer.
Thank you so much, sir. It was great talking to you, and it was a lovely experience having you on the show and talking with you. Thank you so much, sir.
Also very glad that you have started this initiative. I hope that you reach out to a lot of people, and a lot of budding designers actually take benefit of this channel, and Fidesis reaches out to all the different parts of the design world. And I hope that you have many great designers on this show and continue doing the awesome job that you're doing.